This video is about Parent Plus loans. We're going to talk about what is a Parent Plus loan, what are the advantages and disadvantages to taking out Parent Plus loans, and what are some of the alternatives to Parent Plus loans, okay? So what is a Parent Plus loan? That's how we're going to first start. But before I go into details, please subscribe to our channel. If you like this sort of content and want to stay up to date, please subscribe, like, and share this content, especially if you know parents, whether they're your own parents or other parents who may have to take out Parent Plus loans. This content may be really applicable to them. So first and foremost, what is a Parent Plus loan? Parent Plus loans are provided by the government for parents to take out for their children's education. There is no borrowing limit or cap for Parent Plus loans. This means that while there may be a borrowing limit for an undergrad of $8,000, for example, and it goes up by semester, parents don't have that limit. In addition, if a parent has 5 children and need to borrow $500,000 for their education, the government will literally let a parent who is 60 years old plus borrow $500,000 to fund their child's education. So there are no limits, okay? This is what a Parent Plus loan is. So what are the pros and what are the cons of taking out Parent Plus loans? I mostly see mothers taking out Parent Plus loans for their children, and the majority of student loan borrowers are women. And I have to address this topic because I always like to warn mothers in a potential divorce, or if something were to transpire, they will be taking on and holding on to that debt. It cannot be transferred to the other parent once it's originated. It cannot also either be transferred to your children. Let's say your child goes on, gets a really great engineering degree. The likelihood that that child will pay the loan is a private agreement between the parent and the child. There is no changing the loan to the child's name. That can't happen because we've been asked about that. So there are pros and cons to Parent Plus loans. Number one, obviously the pros being it allows more access to the degree your child wants. The cons are that you are going to be responsible as the parent, or the parent will be responsible for paying off those loans, and it can never be transferred to anybody else. So be very careful when taking out those loans and understanding your own retirement planning, your age, what your goals are, and is it possible for you to take on that debt load for your child, okay? So those are some of the pros and cons. And of course, I want to talk really briefly about the alternatives. The alternatives is to let the child obviously take out private loans. And that's not an ideal alternative either, because private loans, unlike public loans, cannot be discharged. Like if a child becomes disabled, if oftentimes the private loan will have to be co-signed by the parent, so the parent is still kind of ensuring that the loan gets paid one way or another. And if the child works a nonprofit job, that loan can never be forgiven, right? That's the con of the child taking out a private loan. That's the alternative, and the alternative is literally the child takes on private debt versus the parent takes on federally kind of protected loan, right? The parent, by the way, can, if they work for nonprofit or government institution, can get the loan forgiven, just like the child would be able to if they work for nonprofit or government. So I wanted to point that out, and this is a really important strategy to think about if you're a parent considering taking out Parent Plus loans, or you're going to ask your parent to take out Parent Plus loans for you, is if there's 2 parents, a father and a mother, for example, and one of the parents works for a nonprofit hospital system or government versus the other parent doesn't, they work for the private sector, or they may be a stay-at-home parent, it's important to understand if the parent that works for the nonprofit takes out the loan and they're planning on working at that nonprofit for the next 10 years when the child graduates, they can potentially get that loan forgiven, versus another parent who works for the private sector or is a stay-at-home parent. That parent can only get the loan forgiven after 25 years of minimum payments. Of course, LoanSense is here to strategize. People ask us all the time, can our sessions be bought for parents, or can they be bought for children before they're graduating and in repayment? The answer is absolutely yes. We're here to help parents make decisions as well around the debt they and their children have to take out. It's like holistic planning, right, for higher education finance. Financial advisors oftentimes don't understand the implication and the difference between these loan types. They oftentimes just look at interest rates and can advise against interest rates. But federal student loans are mandated very differently and regulated very differently. So it's really important to get an advisor like LoanSense that understands the differences between public and private loans and what are the public versus private loan options, right? So we hope that answered what the pros and cons and the alternatives are. If you're a parent and need greater assistance because you're entering into repayment now and you aren't quite sure what to do, we're here for you. If you would like to gift a session for your child because they're going to be kicked into repayment, leaving residency, entering residency, or whatever their next goals are, and it's going to put them on a lower income track, or they're unemployed, or whatever the status is, and we can be helpful because you or your child can't afford a fully amortized payment, or you or your parent can't afford a fully amortized payment, we are 100% here to support you. Please come to myloansense.com. And of course, if this content was useful or helpful at all, please subscribe to our channel, share, and like. Comment on what you found helpful and what you would like to learn more about.